Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Gauranitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parirajacharya Sutra Satashimvesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled, all glories to Shishi Guru and Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 54, Text 25. Yatra yāsi svasāraṁ Yatra yāsi svasāraṁ muṣitvā dhvāṅkṣa-vat dhaviḥ muṣitvā dhvāṅkṣa-vat dhaviḥ hariṣye madaṁ manda hariṣye madaṁ manda māyinaḥ kūṭa-yodhinaḥ māyinaḥ kūṭa-yodhinaḥ yatra yāsi svasāraṁ muṣitvā dhvāṅkṣa-vat hariṣye madaṁ manda māyinaḥ kūṭa-yodhinaḥ. Yatra yāsi svasāraṁ hariṣye manda māyinaḥ kūṭa-yodhinaḥ yatra yāsi svasāraṁ muṣitvā dhvāṅkṣa-vat hariṣye madaṁ manda māyinaḥ kūṭa-yodhinaḥ. Yatra yāsi svasāraṁ muṣitvā dhvāṅkṣa-vat hariṣye madaṁ manda māyinaḥ kūṭa-yodhinaḥ. Vaishnavis. muṣitvā dhvāṅkṣa-vat hariṣye madaṁ manda māyinaḥ kūṭa-yodhinaḥ. yatra yāsi svasāraṁ muṣitvā dhvāṅkṣa-vat hariṣye madaṁ manda yatra, wherever, yāsi, you go, svasāraṁ, sister, me, my, muṣitvā, having stolen, dhvāṅkṣa-vat, like a crow, haviḥ, the sacrificial butter, hariṣye, I will remove, adya, today, madaṁ, your false pride, manda, you fool, māyinaḥ, of the deceiver, kūṭa, cheating, yodhinaḥ, of the fighter. Translation Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki. Wherever you go, carrying off my sister like a crow, stealing sacrificial butter, I will follow. This very day I shall relieve you of your false pride, you fool, you deceiver, you cheater in battle. There's a short purport. In his hysterical attack, Rukmī displays the very qualities he attributes to Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Every living being is part and parcel of the Lord and belongs to the Lord. Therefore, Rukmī was like a crow trying to steal the sacrificial offering meant for the enjoyment of the Lord. That's all. Om Jnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Again, the translation. Wherever you go, carrying off my sister like a crow, stealing sacrificial butter, I will follow. This very day I shall relieve you of your false pride, you fool, you deceiver, you cheater in battle. Okay, Hare Krishna. So I request the assembled Vaishnavas for their blessings, especially our seniors, so that I may be an instrument, a proper instrument to do this service of speaking Bhagavatam. So today I will try to focus on three aspects. I'd like to just speak a bit about some of the lesson, or one lesson that we can take from this pastime in general. Then we like to look at this shloka and especially on the mentality of Rukmī. Rukmī is speaking here, and he's challenging Krishna. You fool, today I will crush your pride. So we'll have a look at this mentality. And then also, if time allows, we may also say a few words about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we are just one day before Gaur Purnima. But let's see how it goes. So for a couple of weeks or even months now, you have been discussing this pastime. Rukmini, the princess of the city Vaidharba, the daughter of King Bhishmaka. And she really was in love with Krishna, but her brother especially, Rukmī, was very keen to marry her with Shishupal. And it's said that even King Bhishmaka, the father, was not so enthusiastic about this, but he kind of okay, agreed to it, because Rukmi was so strong about it. But of course, Rukmini herself, she was really in love with Krishna. And in the letter that she wrote to Krishna, we find this beautiful shloka where she says, Shrutva gunana bhuvan sundara shrinvatam te. That she says, O beauty of the worlds, having heard of your qualities, which enter the ears of those who hear and remove their bodily distress, and having also heard of your beauty, which fulfills all the visual desires of those who see, I have fixed my shameless mind upon you, O Krishna. So just by hearing about Krishna, Rukmini became very much attached to Krishna. And for her it was clear, I only marry him, there is no one else. So that's why she wrote the letter and requested Krishna to come. And she also gave a hint, you should come one day before the marriage ceremony, because it's the custom that the ladies, they do some puja to Durga, and that time you should come, take me from the Durga temple. And when Krishna heard the message, of course, he told to the Brahmana, just as Rukmini's mind is fixed on me, my mind is fixed on her as well. And we heard yesterday also that Krishna was also very eager to marry her. Now, I remember some years back, we had His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj visiting Zurich. I'm from Switzerland, Zurich, and I was organizing the Bhakta program. I invited Maharaj to talk to the Bhaktas about the 9 processes of devotional service. And Maharaj stressed on Shravanam, how devotional service begins with hearing, with Shravanam. And then Maharaj spoke about this lila, how Rukmini, although she never saw Krishna, but simply by hearing about Krishna, she developed that strong attachment to Krishna. And this is a very powerful point, that just by hearing we develop attachment. And of course, this is also quite natural, because how can you love someone who you don't know? I mean, why do you fall in love with someone? Because you see the person, you get to know the person, you realize the beautiful qualities of the person, and that's why you fall in love with someone. So we are meant, the whole process of devotional service is meant to, again, reawaken our loving relationship with Krishna. So how can we awaken that original love, which is already there, if we don't know Krishna? We need to know Krishna, we need to hear about Krishna, and by that hearing, more and more, that original love will come out. And that's one of the lessons that we can learn, certainly from this pastime. And Rukmini is kind of a wonderful example of a person who, just by hearing, developed that love. And of course, in the Bhagavatam, we find many places where this hearing is glorified. Yesterday also we heard how the devotees are always very much eager. The Krishna Katha is always new and ever new for the devotees, and they are very eager to hear Krishna Katha, just as the materialistic people are eager to hear and talk about sex life. That was the comparison we heard yesterday. So the Bhagavatam glorifies the power of Shravanam. It said there, Yasyam Vaishruyamanayam Krishne Paramam Purushe Bhaktir Utpadaye Pungsha Shoka Moha Vayapaha. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once. So just simply by hearing, then that love will come up. And it also extinguishes the fire of Shoka, Moha, Bhaya. Just by hearing Krishna Katha, all the Shoka, Moha and Bhaya will disappear. All the Shoka, the lamentation, the Moha, the illusion, and the Bhaya, the fear. And that's basically the conditioned soul. And if we are a little bit honest and reflect what's going on in our mind all day long, it's all about Shoka, Moha, Bhaya. It's about, we are kind of lamenting on what happened in the past, and we are afraid of what happened in the future, and then in the present we are in illusion because we are not really there. We are thinking about something else. So, but by hearing Krishna Katha, this Shoka, Moha, Bhaya will be, be driving away. It will be just gone, just by the process of hearing. And in that same purport, Srila Prabhupada gives a wonderful point on the importance. Prabhupada says, there are various senses of which the ear is the most effective. And Prabhupada says, the senses work even when a man is deep asleep. One can protect himself from an enemy, the hands of an enemy while awake, but while asleep, one is protected by the ear only. The importance of hearing is mentioned here in connection with attaining the highest perfection of life, namely getting free from the material pangs. So this is how we have different senses, but the ear, or the sense of hearing, has a significant role. And Prabhupada gives the example of sleeping. Just by hearing some noise, you can understand something is going on. And also, Krishna is Adokṣaja, is beyond the sense perception. We can't really see or touch. We can't really perceive Krishna through the senses. But we can hear about Krishna. And that hearing, actually, that Shabda Brahman, that spiritual sound vibration, is not different from him. Of course, Krishna also appears in a murti form where we get a chance to see him in that way. But generally, that hearing is extremely important. In the Nectar of Devotion, Śrīla Rupa Goswami quotes Garuda Purana, where it says that a man, just as a man who is bitten by a snake can be brought back to life by chanting some mantra, so similarly, in the material world, everyone is bitten by the snake of illusion. No? We all got bitten by the snake. Here in Vrindavan, sometimes we get bitten by monkeys, which is a very unpleasant experience. So, but here it says that actually we are all already bitten, not by the monkeys, but by the snake of illusion. And in order to be waken up from that illusion, brought back to consciousness, we need to hear transcendental sound. And Prabhupada often gave the example of the iron. If you put a piece of iron or iron rod, put the iron rod into the fire, then that iron, although by its nature it's cold, but if you put it in the iron long enough, then that in the fire, that iron actually takes on the quality of fire. And if you actually touch something, immediately it will burn. So similarly, although our consciousness might be material, but by putting our consciousness into the transcendental sound vibration of the holy name and also of Krishna Kirtan and Krishna Katha, and then our consciousness more and more also becomes spiritualized, or Krishnaized, as Prabhupada would say. And maybe a last point to this aspect, Srila Prabhupada also beautifully explains how Shabda Brahman, the spiritual sound vibration, is the way how bhakti is also awakened in our hearts through sadhu sangha. If we come in touch with a pure devotee and the advanced devotee speaks Krishna Katha, and that sound vibration enters into our ears and then touches our hearts, and in this way bhakti is awakened. Prabhupada said, as fire is kindled from wood by another fire, the divine consciousness of man can similarly be kindled by another divine living entity or grace. His divine grace, the spiritual master, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood-like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages injected through the receptive ear. Therefore, one is required to approach the proper spiritual master with receptive ears, and thus a divine existence is gradually realized. So by hearing that sound vibration, and then that spiritual consciousness can be awakened. And of course we see in Srila Prabhupada's own example, how did Srila Prabhupada start this Hare Krishna movement? By sound vibration. Of course by also recorded sound vibration in form of books. Prabhupada came with the Srimad Bhagavatam. But then what did he do? He was singing kirtan, and he was giving lectures. And the devotees, the people who became devotees, then were listening Prabhupada's kirtan and Prabhupada's lectures. And in this way, they awakened to Krishna consciousness. So that's one aspect I wanted to highlight, the power of hearing, and Rukmini is an example of that hearing. Okay, so then let's go to today's shloka. Rukmi is challenging Krishna. He says, wherever you go, Carrying off my sister like a crow, stealing sacrificial butter, I will follow. This very day I shall relieve you of your false pride, you fool, you deceiver you cheater in battle. So, quite a way to address the Supreme Personality of Godhead, isn't it? You fool, I will relieve you from your false pride. I mean, first of all, Krishna is very humble by his nature, but if someone could be proud of something, then it's Krishna, right? So if Krishna would be proud, it would be not false, it would be completely fine. But on the top, Krishna is always, is very humble. So how can he say, I will relieve you from false pride? So let's look a bit at this mentality that Rukmi shows here. So first of all, he sees fault in Krishna. Although Krishna is faultless, he sees fault. And Prabhupada also explains Prabhupada's followers, Prabhupada's disciples who wrote this section of the Bhagavatam, comment that Rukmi displays the very qualities he attributes to Krishna. So that which he himself, which is there in his own heart, he sees in Krishna. Oh, Krishna, you're proud, you're mad, but actually it's in his heart. So that's very typical, false pride. And what is exactly the pride that Rukmi manifests here? Rukmi's pride is that I'm a powerful warrior, kshatriya. It is Krishna. He was born in Braj. Actually, he's a cowboy. At best, a Vaishya, but I'm a kshatriya. But he's just taking care of the calves and milking the cows. And so, who is he? How can he marry Rukmi? She's meant for my friend, Shishupal. So in this way, he's very much, his pride is based on a bodily identification and on his birth and his caste, basically. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Kalyana Kalpataru, in his beautiful song book, he has several songs, Upadesha, where he preaches to his mind on different topics. My dear mind, why are you so proud of being a sannyasi or being renounced? Why are you so proud? Different aspects. And one aspect, why are you so proud of your birth? Why are you so proud of your caste? So, just going to read part of the translation. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, and of course this would be nice for Rukmi to hear, but maybe also for some of us, in case some of you is, those who have born in a low family like myself, then it's not so much to be being proud of, but maybe some of you have born in some high-class family. Oh, my dear mind, why do you still have this vain, egoistic pride due to your family caste? The fact is that when a sinful man dies, then no matter who he is, the Yamadutas will carry away without paying the slightest respect to his caste and family lineage. So when the time for Yamadutas, they will not, oh, you're a Brahmana, so we have to treat you a little bit politely. And you're a Shudra, we can really beat you. No, the Yamadutas, they don't make such distinction, like you're a sinful fellow, we'll take you. So then at the time of death, this is gone, It's just a designation to the body. Once the body is gone, this is over. So it's a very temporary thing. Even if one does good works and enjoys celestial pleasures in a heavenly planetary system, he is still not safe, for after his good karma is exhausted, he gets equal treatment along with brahmanas as well as dog-eating outcasts. In hell, both persons will receive equal punishment in one place, and for the next birth, equal ruling is administered. So in hell, there is not a section for the Brahmins, a section for the Kshatriyas. In hell, everyone is the same place, get the same torture. There's no caste distinction there. No varnashram in hell. So then why do you maintain such false pride, my dear mind? Your insignificant caste, vanity lasts only to up the time of your death, when it will be taken away along with your body. And so on. And then at the end, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a hint of how to properly engage our nature. So if you would just combine devotion of Krishna with an effort to the best of your ability, according to your nature, my dear mind, then you will be situated in perfect combination of spiritual activity. So combination of devotion and your ability, then that's perfect. And what is Bhaktivinoda Thakur doing? Then whatever caste or material position you happen to be situated in will become really successful, and you will attain all desirable things in this way. And Bhaktivinoda will sing the praise of your glories, my dear mind. So if you do that, if you engage your nature with devotion without being proud of your caste, then that's the proper thing. So that's one thing we can take from this, Rukmi's pride in his caste. And another aspect, of course, which is pointed out in the Purport, that Rukmi sees fault in Krishna, although he himself has that exactly fault. And that's called a blind spot, right? If you drive a car and you have this, how you call it, this side, like windows, back windows or something? Side view windows, and you can see whether a truck comes from this side or that side. But there is a certain angle where you can't see it, although it's there, but you can't see it. That's why it's advised when you learn driving a car, then you should always also look, because there is a blind spot. But then, similarly, in psychology, there is also a blind spot, and that's when you have certain qualities, and everyone else knows, and I'm sure we all have this experience. So there is a certain person in the ashram, and he's a bit special, or he has certain qualities, he behaves in a certain way, and everyone knows, but only he thinks that he's a pure devotee and he is fine. He just doesn't get it, It's very obvious that he has a problem with that, but he just doesn't get it. He's completely fine, but everyone else sees it. So that's the blind spot. It's very obvious, but the person itself somehow is blind to it, right? And that's something very typical, and for that reason we need sadhu sangha, we need the association of devotees, we need, like in the example of Bharat Maharaj, it's also explained that why did he fall from that elevated stage? Because he was alone. If there would be other sadhus, they would have maybe say, Bharat Prabhu, you're going a bit too far with the deer here, like that goes. But nobody was there to tell him that, so he missed that association. And it also reminds me of the Shiva Daksha story. It's interesting when we know the story how Shiva enters the assembly. Daksha enters the assembly, and everyone shows respect, except of Lord Brahma, because he doesn't have to, and Lord Shiva, because he just happens to be in a transcendental trance, just remembering Krishna. And also, of course, he's the father-in-law, so another reason. But Daksha becomes very, very offended that Shiva didn't show respect. And so he starts to blaspheme, and really heavily blaspheme, similar to Rukmi here. But before he starts speaking, he tells everyone, he looks at the assembled Vaishnavas and sages, he says, all sages, brahmanas and fire god present, even the fire god, there's yatra going on, please hear me with attention, for I speak about the manners of gentle persons. I do not speak out of ignorance or envy. No, I'm not speaking out of envy. And then Prabhupada says in the Purport, as far as envy is concerned, from the very beginning he was envious of Lord Shiva. Therefore, he could not distinguish his own particular envy. He was full of envy. And he was blinded by that envy, and because he was so much blind, he couldn't understand that he himself has envy. And that's what causes this blind spot, that the impurity in the heart. So, and then of course, later in the 4th chapter, when Sati finally confronts him, his father, she tells him, Doshan parasham higunesha sadavo grenanti kechinna pavadra shodvija gunamasya palgun palikarhinavo mahatmastas avidad pavan agam. Twice born Daksha, a man like you can simply find fault in the qualities of others. Lord Shiva, however, not only finds no faults with others' qualities, but if someone has a little good quality, he magnifies it greatly. Unfortunately, you have found fault with such a great soul. So, Sati here compares and makes a point. There's two kind of people. There's the sadhu and there's the asadu. And the sadhu, like Shiva, always sees the good, even if there is not so much good, but there is a little good, and then that is magnified, it's encouraged, it's made bigger. But Daksha, you are such a person that even if there is only good, and there is no fault, but you still find some fault. And that's your nature, that's asadu. And Srila Vishnu Thakur, in his commentary, gives very interesting analysis on this. He says, according to the amount of sattva, one is considered good or sadhu. The more sattva guna one is influenced, the more one is good, is a sadhu. Though there are many types of good person, they are divided into 4. And then Vishnu gives 4 types of good people. And then, according to the amount of tamas, there are 4 types of bad person, asadu. And then also he gives 4 types of bad people. So, a sadhu is one who accepts, even if someone has some faults, he said, okay, he has some faults. And he understands that this fault can also be transformed, the person can come to a higher platform. There is some fault, but nevertheless, he can be a good person in the future. So that's a sadhu. But in the next stage, mahattara, like it's even more sadhu, he overlooks the faults. He sees the good qualities. He sees both, but he overlooks and he mainly sees the good. Then the next is the mahattamaha, takes small good qualities and magnifies them, not seeing small faults. So he encourages. And of course, that's the spiritual master. He always tries to encourage whatever is there in the disciple and increase that. And then the ati mahatma, like the highest of the sadhus, these 4, sees good qualities in others where there are none. Even if someone has no good qualities, he still sees good quality. Like someone is really a demon, but after all, he's also a spiritual soul. No, he's an eternal servant of Krishna. Okay, he's covered. There's a lot of covering there, but somehow he sees something good, even if there is no good actually. So that's the highest. So these are the sadhus, 4 kind of sadhus. But then the asadu is the opposite. So the asadu he thinks that someone's good qualities will turn into faults. Yeah, he's a nice Vaishnava, but he will fall down. I can see it. He will. He's a nice, but he will. And then the asadu tara, see faults only, overlooking the good qualities. So there are good qualities, but he only focuses on the faults. And then the next stage is asuduttama, takes small faults and magnifies them, seeing no good qualities at all. But there's something small, makes it big. And I think that we are quite familiar in this time of social media and Facebook and all these things. Someone doing a little, something small, and wow, it's made very big. And then the ati asaduttama, which is the verse with most tama influence, sees only faults in others, even where there are no faults. And that's Daksha, and that's Rukmi. Rukmi, Krishna has no fault. He's completely free from fault, but he still sees fault. You are. So this is a nice Srila Vishnu Thakur, and he goes quite in detail. He gives also examples for everyone. He gives a little example, and this is a nice meditation for us to remember and reflect on. to see in our own hearts how much sattva-guna do we have in our heart, and how much do we try to see the good. And of course, when this discussion comes up of finding fault, it is always, what is if someone is really doing something bad, and do I just have to close my eyes? We are not talking about this. If someone is really wrong, of course, there is ways to correct the person, and you may approach your seniors. And if someone has a position of leadership, then he has a duty to correct others, to see the faults. That's there. But here we're talking about a mentality. We're talking about a certain mentality where the mind always goes to see the fault. Why? It's the ego who wants to be better, wants to feel better. In order to feel better, I put the other down so that I can feel better. So that kind of mentality is addressed here. And this kind of fault finding is addressed as something that is a great obstacle on the path of devotion, that we really should try to avoid and overcome this dosha kirtan, like speaking about faults of others. There is a little story told in this regard, the story of the wolf and the lamb. You may have heard that one. There is the wolf wants to kill and eat the lamb. So he says, okay, somehow I have to find some faults and kill it. So a wolf was drinking water from a river at the same time as an innocent lamb. The wolf thought, somehow or other I must devour that lamb. The wolf said, hey, don't you know? Can't you see that I'm drinking water here? Why are you making the water muddy for me? I shall kill you. No, because you make the water muddy, that's why I will kill you. And the lamb said, oh sir, you're drinking water upstream and I'm drinking water downstream. How is it that I'm making the water muddy for you? Okay. And the wolf, why did you call me bad names 1 year ago? You offended me, that's why I will kill you. Oh sir, I'm only 3 months old. How is it I call you bad name 1 year ago? The lamb is really innocent, right? And the wolf says, anyway, I will kill you anyway. And then the wolf just kills the lamb and eats it. So that's kind of, anyway, the story, it shows kind of the mentality of fault finding. It's just like, just give me a reason to pull you down. And that is a great obstacle on the path of devotion. Of course, another mentality that comes out here in Rukmi is the mentality of taking away that which belongs to the Lord. He says, you carrying off my sister like a crow, stealing sacrificial butter. And it's interesting because Rukmini wrote a letter to Krishna, and there she said that, you should take me because don't allow that a shackle like Shishupal takes away the property of the lion. No? Similar analogy, like you, Krishna, you're the lion, and I'm your property. So don't allow that this Shishupal is like a vulture, like a jackal, takes your property away. So here Rukmi takes a similar analogy. He says, I will not allow that you, like a crow, stealing the sacrificial butter. But again, Rukmi, doesn't understand the way properly. And of course, as we heard yesterday, also when the acharyas comment and translate these Sanskrit shlokas, they can't tolerate the blasphemy of Krishna, so they always find ways to kind of, look at the Sanskrit words to give a different meaning. So Srila Vishnava Chakra Thakur says here, Rukmi says, you're taking my sister just like a crow, dhvāṅkṣa-vat, steals a sacrificial offering. Today, adya, O fool, I will take away your pride in being a false warrior and cheater. Then the other meaning is since my sister is Mahalakshmi, as we also heard yesterday, and thus belong to you, whether you steal her or not, wherever you go, she is your own essence, svasāraṁ. That's another way to see it. Like whether you steal it, whether you not steal it, whether I'm able to hold you back or not. But actually, because she's Mahalakshmi, she always belongs to you. And then in the Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's version, Rukmi takes all of a sudden a very humble position. He says, after releasing my sister from you, I will bring her back to my house, just as a crow steals the sacrificial butter. So now he is the crow and takes away. And then please break the pride of this false warrior, myself. So please, Krishna, you break my pride. Who is a fool, manda, and a cheater, māyinaḥ. So this is turned around. Of course, this is not Rukmi, but this is Vishnu saying that this actually should be the proper way to look at it. But yeah, that mentality of taking away that which is meant for the enjoyment of Krishna is certainly that bhava rogi, or this disease of material existence. That's why we are here, because we identify ourselves as the enjoyer and controller. We want to take the position of Krishna, we want to take the position of the Lord, and we want to exploit material nature for our own enjoyment, independent of the Lord. In this way, of course, the Ramayana comes to mind, Ravana, who is the personification of that demon who wanted to steal Sita. And here it's Shishupal who want to get Rukmini, which actually is meant for the Lord of Dwarka. And often when we hear about this demon, Shishupal, and or to speak of in the Ramayana, Kumbhakarna, if you remember the description of Kumbhakarna, it's like a huge mountain of a monster. And of course Ravana himself also, Ravana, 10-headed Rakshasa. I don't know how it looks if a person has 10 heads. It must look really ugly, and fearsome. And not ordinary heads, but Rakshasa head with teeth like a vampire, and really fearsome. So imagine one day, you come to your room and all of a sudden there is Ravana standing in your room, and it's kind of, how would you feel if Ravana is about to attack you? It would be very fearsome, right? But actually, that Ravana is already there within our hearts in the form of lust, anger, greed, all these, and we can say, as powerful as this Ravana, as powerful these urges are there in our own hearts. And so therefore, what can we do? We can follow in the footsteps of the Devas, because what did the Devas do? The Devas, they took shelter of Krishna. They really requested Krishna for help, and they requested Krishna to protect them. So similarly, we also should take shelter of Krishna. And of course, in this age of Kali, we should especially take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And with this I will come to a conclusion. These demoniac qualities in the heart, we can really get rid of them by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the process of chanting. Because it's the chanting that will cleanse our heart. And we know this famous, from the Sutra account of the Chaitanya Mangala, in which also Srila Prabhupada is so beautifully glorified as the Senapati Bhakta of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where Loshandas Thakur says, E mati kali papa kari besanara sabe chala age pache nakara vichara epe nama sankirtana tikshana kadaya laya antara asura jivera pelibe kataya. This way I will destroy all the sins. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking. Melochan makes Mahaprabhu speaking. I will destroy all the sins in Kali Yuga. So all of you, my associates, go ahead and take birth in the earthly planet before my advent and don't remain behind. So the Lord encourages everyone, all the devas and the devotees to take birth in Adya, because the Lord will appear as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and together they will start the Sankirtan movement. And then he says, Ebe nama Sankirtan, taking the sharp sword, sometimes it's also said axe, or here it says sword, the sharp weapon of the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Nama Sankirtan, I will root out and destroy the demoniac mentality in the hearts of all the conditioned souls. So this is a nice, explanation how usually when the Lord comes, he comes with his, weapons, with the, Sudarshan Chakra and his how you say, club, right? Thank you. The club, and then he kills. Krishna, even as a boy, he kills many demons, and later on also. So kills so many demons, but as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's not killing the demons, but he kills the demoniac qualities in the heart. So this, and therefore, and of course, then the next, Yadi Papi Chadi Dharma Duri Desha Vyaya, Morasina Patti Bhakta Yaibe Tataya. That if some sinful people will flee and if they escape my mercy, and I will in the future send my Senapati Bhakta, will come at a time to give them Krishna consciousness. And of course, if we often speak about the importance of putting Srila Prabhupada in the center, and Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya, and in some way it's so obvious if you just understand who is Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is the one who was sent by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. If you just meditate about this simple truth, it's established Prabhupada's position so clearly, and it's such a glorious. We are so fortunate that we are part of Srila Prabhupada's family, that we are part of Prabhupada's movement, and this gives a lot of hope to us, because although we have this Ravan-like demons in our hearts, we also have access to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy through Srila Prabhupada, through the parampara, and through the chanting of the holy names. And especially tomorrow is the auspicious day of Sri Gaur Purnima, and it's a wonderful day that we can take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the chanting of the holy names. And I'm sure tomorrow we will hear, I think Maharajas will speak Gaur Katha. So I did prepare something, but I think we leave it up to the Maharajas to glorify Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I will end here. We have a couple of minutes. So basically, in the beginning, I spoke about the importance of hearing. That's one of the lessons that we can take from this Leela, that hearing is very important. And Rukmini manifests that quality of just hearing and developing love. And we spoke about the mentality of Rukmi, how we should not do the same. We spoke about this blind spot and the importance of sadhu sangha, that we should get rid of this fault-finding mentality. And then we spoke about how these demoniac qualities in the heart can be removed by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, and of course the glorious chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna. To see whether, Maharajas, you like to add something or some comments? Yes. Hare Krishna.
The mind and house control the mind.
Yes.
And Krishna says a constant practice in detachment. But in this practicing mode, how much do we give into the mind wants to go here, find newer and fresher things. Like you said, Prabhupada's given us everything. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, beautiful quotes and nectar devotion, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. But sometimes we have a tendency to maybe search for more nectar somewhere else. And how much time should we actually dedicate to something like that when the mind is not really focused or under bridled, under control?
Yeah, the grass is always greener on the other side. Like that's the kind of the mentality of the mind. The mind is always to go somewhere else. And yeah, that's a good question. Let me see whether otherwise I will pass it on. But personally, I feel that, of of course, if we actually listen, if the process of Shravanam Kirtanam is actually applied, and it's easy to we say hearing and chanting, but it's a whole science. In order that Shravanam Kirtanam can actually take place, there needs to be the qualification of the speaker and the qualification of the hearer. And if both are there, then it becomes potent. And if we actually hear Krishna Katha, then we will feel that nourishment, we feel that inspiration. And then the mind also kind of calms down. But if we only practice superficially, then the mind remains like unsteady and then the mind wanders, the mind wants to go here and there. So I think one aspect is to really try to apply the process properly, like really try to hear, and that applies to the class, but also to chanting, of course. You know, like as Burijan Prabhu in his Chapa retreats, he would, and of course Prabhupada also makes the point that Prabhupada says, what is the question of the mind? Just hear, right? That's Prabhupada, just hear. And Burijan also makes the point, one mantra at a time. Because the mind, 16 rounds, oh my God, I have to just start it, only one round, 15 more to go. So the mind becomes But then, if you just take one mantra at a time and stick with that mantra, and as soon as we are, and of course we pray, and then as soon as we are able to enter, once we enter and actually relish the holy name, then there is no question of time, and the mind is out, then we are just relishing. But that requires some, we need to enter, and of course that requires mercy and it requires some sincerity. But yeah, that's something I...
One more point, like if you have an ancient deity, people think, oh, this is more powerful than a deity only installed.
Here in Vrindavan, yeah.
That was only 20, 30 years ago that installed, but this one's hundreds of years old. So sometimes we think that, well, the acharyas, what they say, maybe we should hear that more important. I mean, Prabhupada just 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, who maybe would just not really understand that he's actually bringing from, in the Guru Parampara, from everybody, the essence that is there, so maybe we should spend more time with that.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. I mean, someone who's saying like that does not understand the principle of Parampara, because Parampara means that mercy of Lord Krishna is carried to the next generation, and especially Prabhupada's position. I mean, obvious how he was empowered. I think Maharaj wants to comment.
Parampara doesn't mean that it's carried. It means that if you accept the present acharya, then you get the mercy of all the other acharyas.
Yeah.
They all, not only the acharyas, but also the 6 Goswamis, Panchatattva, and ultimately the whole spiritual world will give you their mercy.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Give me a... Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
He's Swiss, he's organized.
We're trying.
What happened to the lamb?
Well, I guess it was devoured by the wolf. Poor lamb.
I think he got away.
Got away? More optimistic viewpoint. Yeah, maybe she ran away, the lamb, and then... Okay, Madachi, and then we'll end. We have 2 minutes left. Aha, someone? Okay, I think then we'll stop here.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Krishna, one. Sorry.